Okay, give me a chip. Give us more chips.
No, you're not gonna eat that. Hey, stop. Anyhow,
All right, so I've kind of picked up on a feeling that some people think that we're kind of cheating by using an XJ, one of the easiest and cheapest Jeeps to build. So I just kind of want to point out what people might be forgetting is the XJ comes with a lot of great advantages, and it also comes with a lot of big disadvantages, depending on which ones you buy. This one comes with all of the disadvantages and hardly any of the advantages. So starting with the motor, this is not the legendary 4.0. It is a Chevy 2.8 liter V6, which was only in the Jeep for 3 years. It's probably the most hated motor ever put in a Jeep. And it took us like, what, 2 or 3 days
to get spark plugs.
Wires.
Yeah, spark plug wires. The spark plugs were fine.
Yeah, we cleaned and got the spark plugs, but the wires were shot, and it took us like 3 days to get them here. It's dumb. So, not the legendary 4.0. The transmission is not the great Toyota AW4. It is a Chrysler, basically a Chrysler 904. That's a 3-speed transmission, no lockup, no overdrive, a slush box transmission that my dad used to call them. So yeah, this has a Chrysler 3-speed automatic with a Chevy V6, which is like, that's a really bad combination. Only AMC would come up with something like that. So that's what that has for the drivetrain. The transfer case is not a 231, it's a 207, which isn't bad, but there's really not much aftermarket support for it. We can't get a slip yoke eliminator for it, so we'll just deal with it. So that's one of the bad things with it. The rear axle is a Dana 35, one of the worst axles ever in a Jeep. And what are we going to do with that, Macy?
Yeah, rear axle.
Yeah, what are we going to do with the rear axle?
We are going to take it out, put in the parts shed over there thing, and we'll rebuild a Ford 9-inch one.
Right, we're going to put in a Ford 9-inch rear axle because it just doesn't make any sense to do anything with the Dana 35.
Yep.
And
but then hold on. But then with the front axle, we're going to try to rebuild that one to make that one stronger.
Yeah, so it has the Dana 30, the 3030, which people deal with. A lot of people hate them, but a lot of people use them. And there's an XJ Dana 30, so it's a high pinion, not like a ZJ or a TJ, which have the low pinion. So you might say that's got a good thing going for it. But it also has the center axle disconnect, which means the long tube of that axle is basically cut in half and spliced back together with a big hole in it for the CAD, which is a massive weak point. So now we have to deal with that if we're going to reuse that axle housing. And worst of all, this thing is carbureted.
Mm-hmm.
Even 6 feet under with their full-size Jeep is taking off the carburetor and putting in an aftermarket fuel injection system. We are going to try to keep this carburetor, or at least keep it carbureted, even if we have to change out this specific carburetor. I really want to help people that have one of these old Jeeps and are wondering, hey, do I have to do an engine swap if I want to off-road this Jeep? Or do I have to at least try to find some kind of aftermarket fuel injection system? I grew up on carburetors. I know they work. They're just different. So I'd really like to keep this thing carbureted. So that's something that we are doing that I really don't think anyone else in this competition is even attempting to do. So even though it's an XJ, it's not exactly easy. We have our fair share of challenges. The one good thing this has going for it is the XJ body, which means steering parts, suspension parts, stuff like that, frame stiffeners are pretty much off the shelf, easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
But the bad thing with an XJ body is rust. And
yep. Me and Dan have had to literally rust kill paint and wire brush because of how bad it was. And even I accidentally literally when I was just hammering on the side of the Jeep when we were doing the trim,
cut and fold, yeah.
Cut and fold on the trim so we can fit the tires in there. I I hit a hole and it was rusted, and I made a hole, and I was like, whoopsie.
Yeah, we had a patch the floors on both sides. This definitely has the XJ rust issue. So even the one good thing this Jeep has comes with the curse. It's plenty of work for us. I don't think we're cheating by any sense of the word by using an XJ.
Way.
So stick around. We'll show you how we finish it.